And she was like, how specific or how bold can I be with what I'm looking for in a realtor? And I didn't think anything of it at the time. She transitions into, okay, so like one of the things that we're looking for in a realtor is full disclosure. My girlfriend and I do OnlyFans. She pauses and she was like, so this isn't make or break. And like, we won't make our decision based off this. But one of the things that we think would be super cool is if we found a realtor that would shoot content with us. I am happily married. So, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm not comfortable with that. She was like, okay, yeah, no problem. Like, we totally respect that decision. Like, we won't push you or anything, blah, blah, blah. But she keeps pushing. Final question was, she was like, okay, and do you wear boxers or briefs? And I was like, never mind. I just stopped responding.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Behind the Lockbox. I'm Stephanie Zalowski. And today, I didn't ask you how you say your last name. We have Quin
Gaughan, like G-O-N-E.
That was easy. I mean, I could have done that myself. Okay. Quin is an agent with Pacific Real Estate Center. And we first met when he and his partner actually brought the buyer and closed on my Fletcher Hills listing last year, where I was just telling him, like, I'll forever be grateful to them for that. They were a dream to work with. And anytime I come across agents like that, as you guys know I must collab with them. Quin actually also came to Reba last week, and I looked at him and I was like, do you want to come on the podcast? And so here we are.
Yeah. 100%.
Welcome to Behind the Lockbox.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for being here. Okay. So when you first came in, I was like, okay, tell me like how many stories you have. And you're like, I have one. And then you have another one. Marcus sent you, your partner, with one, which you briefly told me and my jaw hit the floor and I'm dying to hear more. But you started to tell me the first one and I was like, don't tell me anymore. Like, the look on your face, I was like, I know where this is going, but I don't. So like, I just want to be like genuinely shocked.
It's a good one.
Take it away.
All right. So craziest thing that's probably happened to me.
I like that.
So I'm sitting on my couch and I'm just working.
Yeah.
And I get an email from a lady and she's like, hey, my girlfriend and I are looking to relocate from Arizona, move into San Diego.
Okay.
We're looking for a realtor to help us, find our dream home. And we're sitting there chatting and I was like, all right, great. Like, when's a good time to jump on the phone?
Yeah.
And we set up a time and she was like, how specific or how bold can I be with what I'm looking for in a realtor? And I didn't think anything of it at the time. Like, I innocently.
When you immediately said that, I was like, oh God.
I know. It should have been red flag central.
It's the thing, though. You need to have the experience because when you're new, you're going to take every deal that you can get. Nothing anyone says, you immediately are so sweet and you're like, oh my God, like as much as you want. If someone said that to me today, I'd be like,
click.
Honestly, I'm a little bit morbidly curious. So I'd be like, I don't know, how bold do you want to be? And like, I would unfortunately probably find out just like you did.
And I probably fed right into it because I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, she wants to, maybe she has a specific idea of like an age demographic of the agent she wants to work with or a specialty or like something like that.
Makes sense. Or,
right?
It sounds like she is LGBTQ. So like maybe she just wanted to know like, some people want to work with like-minded people, right?
Exactly.
But you don't know what it's going to be.
So that was what is kind of in the forefront of my mind. So I innocently was like, yeah, be as bold as you want. Like, I love that. Yeah. I like people that are open.
Right.
I feel like there's a lot of kind of dancing around things
totally
in business in general, but especially in real estate.
And so we're trying to find their home. Like,
the more specific you can be,
the better. 100%. So I see where your head was going. I can't say I wouldn't have done the same, but like, how bold can I be?
Anyways,
boy.
We set up a phone call. A couple hours later, we're jumping on the phone. My wife texts me right as I get on the phone. She's on her way home from work. And that'll come into play later. And so
I love a lead in for a story.
So it starts really casual. Like I'm trying to get an idea for who she is, what she likes to do, like just so I can kind of get an idea of like, okay, where in San Diego does this lady belong?
Right. Do you work from home? Do you need to do a commute?
Exactly.
What's your lifestyle? Do you want to live by the beach? Do you want walkability? Like, what do you want? Do you want to live in Hillcrest?
Exactly.
It's a little stereotypical, but like they probably do. Like, okay, great. Yeah.
Yeah. So she starts telling me, like my girlfriend and I are hairdressers and we love to shop. We like all this stuff.
Okay.
We're looking for a place. She's super specific with everything.
Love that.
A lot of times when I get people that call me and are like, hey, I want to work with you, I'm like, okay, this is probably a scam in some way.
Right.
So I'm like, okay.
Don't you love the text where they're like, can you get on WhatsApp? And you're like,
exactly.
No, text me what you need. And I'll be like, this is a scam. I now respond.
Might have just had a third story pop into my house.
Hey, good. Because I troll the shit out of those people. Anyway, keep going.
Okay. So we're chatting. She's super normal. We're talking details and she's really specific. And I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, this is great.
Yeah.
Like having somebody, she tells me what their income is, tells me the price range we're looking in. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is a gold mine. Like
Gold mine.
having
Like, you've hit
somebody
an ideal
drop into
client.
your exactly
Yes.
drop in your lap, knows what they want, is super specific,
Yeah.
like has a good budget, is super reasonable. She's like, oh, I did research on these neighborhoods and I think this is where we want to prioritize. So I was like, half my job is done.
Love that.
Um, so
And there are clients out there like that, by the way.
oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there and in my head, I'm like, okay, like when's the weird stuff gonna happen? Like this is great. And then she transitions into, okay, so like one of the things that we're looking for in a realtor is full disclosure, my girlfriend and I do OnlyFans.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, no problem. She was like, we're looking for a realtor that's comfortable with that. The last guy that we worked with, we would out be touring homes and my girlfriend and I would be like, oh, this is a great place to shoot content, or we could do this, we could do that. And the guy was clearly super uncomfortable, which made us uncomfortable, which I get.
I mean, if they're not shooting content naked right then and there, then what's
Exactly.
the big deal?
And that was kind of my opinion. I'm a super open-minded person.
Totally,
So I
of
was like, yeah, I
course.
don't give a shit how you
Yeah.
make money. Like,
You're like,
do
in
your thing.
fact, see this bedroom over here, the light coming in, south facing, like, you're like,
Exactly. I'm like,
gotcha,
I
girl.
can sell the hell out of this now. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, thank you for telling me.
So I was like, okay, yeah, no problem.
Also, you're like, how much do you make? Because I might need to join too. Just kidding.
So we start chatting a little bit and it kind of transitions back into like more normal stuff.
Okay.
And then she looks at me, or she not looks at me, but she pauses and she was like, so this isn't make or break. And like, we won't make our decision based off this. But one of the things that we think would be super cool is if we found a realtor that would shoot content with us. And at this point, I forgot to mention, my wife had walked in the door and I have this on speakerphone because I'm taking notes on my laptop. So my wife is sitting next to me and I see her head just kind of perk up and it's like, okay, like what's going on here? And so I was like, oh yeah, like I am happily married. So, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm not comfortable with that. She was like, okay, yeah, no problem. Like we totally respect that decision. Like we won't push you or anything, blah, blah, blah. But she keeps pushing. So next thing I know, she was like, oh no. So I tell her, I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm happily married. And her immediate response was, oh, is your wife in the room? And me being a dumbass, like a deer in headlights, I look over at my wife and she's like shaking her head vigorously.
Like, no.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, she's right here. I have you on speaker. Her name is Sarah. What's up? And you're like, she's like,
exactly.
yeah.
So she's like, no. And I was like, okay. So I was like, oh, no. And she was like, oh, okay. She's like, well, we can be really discreet and like, we don't have to video it if you don't want. And I was like, no, like, that's not really the problem for me. Like, I'm not.
And did she specifically say what kind of content they wanted to film?
She didn't. And I wasn't really going to push
But
it.
this is leading me down a path of like threesome, sexual,
Oh,
like,
100%.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
because at this point, I'm thinking, okay, like perfectly normal, like a couple shooting content, like
right.
pretty normal these days.
I mean, everyone is shooting content these days. Like, and people are doing OnlyFans. And by the way, making a fucking killing.
Oh my God, yes.
I mean,
there's a chick that makes like 36 million a year.
It's insane. Denise Richards, now she's Denise Richards, but she makes millions a year. Like, it's insane. Or monthly. I think it's like monthly. Like, it's something like,
Insane.
listen, I have thought
I'm in the
about
wrong
it.
industry. Yeah.
So am I, and I've thought about it. Anyway, keep going. So you still don't really know what she's saying, but she just is like, but are you sure? Like, she just keeps pushing.
Exactly.
Right?
So she's pushing. She keeps saying like over and over, like, oh, well, we'll respect your decision, but then continues to not, like in the following sentence, does not respect the decision and is like asking these questions. It's like, well, we don't have to record it. And I was like, oh, well, that's not really the problem. Like, I'm not going to cheat on my wife. Like I love my wife.
And you said that to her.
Oh,
so
yeah.
now, and she didn't say, oh, no, we just meant like, we like to film content about us like touring property. Like, she never specified, like, this was fully sexual.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like it was super obvious, and she had no shame about it.
Why do they want you?
I mean, maybe they're bi. I don't know.
Okay, fair. That was a stupid thing for me to say. Yeah, that's true. But she did. Okay.
Anyways, so at this point, my wife, I can see out of the corner of my eyes, she's just death glaring the shit out of me, like
you are not taking that client.
You better answer these questions right. All right, so she's sitting there and she's like, we don't have to record it. We can be super discreet. Your wife's never going to find out. And I was like, yeah, not the problem. And
again, for the 15th time, that is not the problem. The answer is no.
Yep. And
God damn it. No, look at your notes.
Sorry, guys.
So she keeps saying, oh, what is it? What is it?
So she goes, I'm not going to lie, but the fact that you're married is a huge turn on for me.
Oh, no. Oh.
And I'm going to have a really good time taking you from your wife. And my wife is just sitting there like, oh my God, I've like laser beams shooting out of her eyes.
What?
And I'm sitting, I don't even know how to respond. I'm kind of just silent.
Because not only is your wife sitting there, but like, obviously it's not like you're into this, but you are stunned because you're newer in the business. You're taking this call trying to find her a property. And now she says to you, I'll have a really good time taking you from your wife. Gee, I wonder why the last agent didn't want to work with them anymore.
Right? And see, suddenly
What?
all of this is falling into place. I'm like, this was a red flag. This was a red flag. And I was like, you idiot. Like, what are you doing? Anyways,
But it
so
makes for a really good story. I'm really glad that you took this call, Quinn.
it does. And so I navigate my way out of this minefield of conversation. We wrap it back up with real estate. Bring it back to, I'm professional the whole time. I'm doing my best because,
Of course.
again, like she told me her budget.
It doesn't matter if your wife is there. You would have been professional. You
Oh,
would have been
100%.
like, it
And I mean-
honestly is, it's so uncomfortable too. You're not going to be like,
because
Yeah,
I don't want to be rude or disrespectful, but like I also like, I have my morals, my values,
Right.
and also like I don't do this.
but you're also in sales and you're sick and you're like, so can I sell you this house anyway, even though I'm not going to sleep with you,
Exactly.
or where are we at?
Sitting there like mentally like, okay, commission is gonna be no, I'm just kidding.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so we wrap it back up and I'm like, okay, great. Let me send you over my buyer's guide. Let me send you over a couple of materials that
Yeah.
kind of give you a little bit more information. Because
Right.
despite the fact that she had a really clear idea of what she wanted,
Yeah.
she did tell me, she was like, look, we're really new to real estate. Like we've done this once before. It didn't really work out.
Mm-hmm.
So like we don't really know what to do, like what the process looks like. And I was like, perfect. I got tons of materials that are going to answer all your
I
questions.
got you, girl.
So we
I'm not going to sleep with you, but I got you.
precisely.
That's right.
So hang up the phone, type up an email, and I'm super professional. And I'm like, hey, I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you. I'm glad you reached out to me. Like, here's those buyer materials for you. And she responds like almost immediately and is like, okay, great. Like, I really appreciate you talking to me and all these materials and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, there were more questions that I wish I could have asked. Like, I feel like I wasn't bold enough. And I'm sitting there like, what the
You're like, no, we are,
I'm-
Veronica, whatever her name is, we are not. No, the questions you're going to ask are, is it a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom where you can film content?
And where do I sign? Exactly.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Did she continue down this path with you?
Oh, yeah.
For how long?
Probably like another 20 minutes. And the whole time my wife is like, yeah, you're not taking that client.
Oh my God.
And I'm
Did
sit-
you ever?
Oh, no, I did not. I know that would have been a whole different story in a sec. But we're sitting there, we're like, while I'm emailing her, my wife and I are having this conversation. She's like, you're not taking that client. And I was like, I understand, but like, you have expensive ass taste. Like, we just got back from Paris and spent like 25 grand for
You're
a week and a half.
If you don't want me on OnlyFans, then I'm taking the OnlyFans.
I was like,
take your pick.
honey, you want to live the lifestyle that
Yeah.
you like? Okay, like,
I got to
we're
sell
not in a
this.
position to
Yeah.
turn down money.
Exactly.
So we're sitting there having this conversation. And she was like, okay, like, I felt like maybe your wife was in the room. So if you want, like, you can just text me like a code word and we can jump on the phone sometime and talk again. And I was like, God damn,
You're like, why? Do you think that she was actually looking for a house?
I don't know. So I was talking to because I called Marcus after that.
Of course.
And I was like, dude, you're never going to guess what just happened. And I don't know. I felt like she was legit because who the hell takes that much time to come up with that detail of a backstory?
You'd be surprised. In terms of like, to get what she wants, like if they're making good money on OnlyFans, like if they, for whatever reason, I don't know why they're preying on the realtor community. Like, I don't get it. But like, if that's what they want, we've had mansions here on the waterfront, right? Where people have given us like bogus billionaire proof of funds. And it took us a while to like kind of siphon through, but something just didn't seem right.
Mhm.
And we're like 3 showings deep, or even they made an offer and they are working with an agent and we're trying to negotiate things. And I'm talking $20 million properties.
Right.
And we found out they were bogus. Like people will go down these
It's
rabbits.
insane.
It's wild to
And
me.
AI is making it worse.
Oh, it's
Because like
yes.
it used to be like, okay, great, let's FaceTime, let's jump on the phone.
Right.
And it was like, okay, clearly
Right.
you're not who you say you are.
right. Right.
And now it's like you can voice clone people, you can do all this crazy
Well,
stuff.
this also comes up with females in the business. And we talked about this last week's episode. Like we've talked about it a ton. We have to be super careful with that as girls, right?
Mhm.
In the industry. And so, you don't know who you're necessarily meeting. I did a funny reel I've talked about a couple times where I was like driving in my car and I was like on my way to like go meet someone I've never met at some random house. But like for money, like that's what I'm doing.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's funny, but it's true.
And it can be sketchy.
It can be sketchy. And like you're a guy even saying that. So imagine
Yeah.
a single female going in somewhere where she hasn't met the client. Now, more often than not, I'm doing buyer consultations. I'm meeting people beforehand,
So there's a
whatever.
little bit of like a
Yeah, because I'm
filtering
not doing the
process.
Zillow leads anymore. Like
Right.
I did those years and years and years ago when it was fruitful back in like 2016,
I feel
2017.
like now you just get so much junk.
You do. And like, I'm not going to pay for that. And I've got enough referral business and return, but I don't need it. But it's like, we still sometimes get a referral, or like I'll have a listing, for example, and like you get a buyer that calls you, you know what I mean? And like, this could be random. Paige Steckling, who's my counterpart in Utah, she was on the episode or on the show a couple weeks ago. And on the episode, she talked about that a guy called her on her listing. And he was like, she's like, oh, cool. Like, what listing do you want to see? And he's like, I just texted it to you. Pull it up on your phone. So she put him on speaker. Uh-huh. And her 2 kids are sitting on either side of her. And she opens up the text and it's a dick pic.
Yep. I knew where that was going
Like,
immediately.
it was like, it's such a violation. Like, it's funny because we're like, what the you
it's
know,
funny after the
it's
fact.
funny. We can laugh about it now. That's exactly. She was laughing, but she's like, it's also like such.
It's traumatizing. It's like
and it's an invasion and
PTSD.
And obviously we're recording the same day, but you just saw Luis and Vanessa leave. Vanessa said that she was sitting next to one of her girls in the office, and she answered a FaceTime call, and it was a dick. And I was like, what is happening? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is insane.
Dudes are weird as shit.
They're weird as shit. Can you have a conversation with them, please? Like, I don't know what's happening over there, but like,
I know. My wife tells me this every
you're not one of them, I know, but it's just like, if you could tell them to like be more like you, that'd be
chill out.
Chill out. That would be great. Yeah, it's insane, you know, and it's like I'm still single, and I'm like, I think I might stay
that way.
Yeah, like I'm cool, you know. Me and
They're
my
dogs and travel.
I'm chill, live at the beach, like it's fine. Like, oh my god. Anyway,
don't blame you.
That is insane. So that was it. You never took.
Okay, last little tidbit.
Yeah.
The final email, we're going back and forth, and of course I'm like, yeah, not gonna do that, not gonna do that.
And every email she's bringing this up.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
And again, she keeps saying like, oh, respect your decision, and then immediately doesn't. And I'm like, why? Well, like,
It's
just don't say that.
so weird.
Yeah.
You're like, well, do you want to go see this 3-bedroom condo or not? Like,
final question was, she was like, okay, and do you wear boxers or briefs? And I was like, never mind. I literally just stopped responding. Like I showed my wife, and she's like, don't answer that. Yeah. And I was like, all right, yeah, this is done.
What? I just kind of think maybe they were full of shit, and they just wanted to like come to San Diego and see if they probably want to try to film some content at a showing with you.
And she told me straight up, like after I initially rejected her, she was like, okay, well, full transparency, like we are talking to other agents, and like if we can find one that is willing to shoot content, like we'll probably go with them, whatever. Like basically trying to like pressure me into like, hey, if you want this deal, you got to do this.
And also, get out of here. No agent. I mean, I'd be shocked if they found one. Like, there might be one out there.
I kind of had the opposite opinion where I was like, I mean, there's thousands of realtors in San Diego alone, let alone like California. And I was like, I'm sure you'll be able to find one. It's just not me. So I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm split on that one, because it's like, that's such a, they would lose their, like, they could lose their license.
100%.
You know what I mean? Not necessarily
not
just,
even
not
if you didn't lose your license,
not just like filming, but like, what if like they went back and said like he was inappropriate, or like, you know,
that
there's
was the thing. So I called Marcus, and I was talking to him, and I was like, dude, you're never gonna believe what just happened. So he's sitting there just dead silent, and
jaws on the floor.
I told him everything, and he was like, yeah, that's crazy. He was like, if you take that client, never meet them alone. And I was like, what?
Yep.
And he was like, dude, that's a huge like probability for litigation. Like they could easily just go to a property with you. You could do absolutely nothing,
and they could say that,
and then they can sue you and say that you like assaulted them or raped them or did something insane.
He's not wrong.
You're going to jail. Your career is over. And I was like, shit, like I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Like, thank God I have a broker to like 100%.
And
like,
see, and again, it's experience, right? Like I said it because it was one of the things that popped into my head. I'm also just, the further you go down this path, Vanessa said this last week, she's like, are we just kind of dead inside? And I was like, I like to prefer it as, call it jaded, because we've just had so much experience now, or we've seen so much litigation. I actually had an agent just join at Real under me, and she was like, hey, I have a question about like litigation. Like, what's the, and I was like, well, I don't know. And she's like, well, you guys have attorneys, right? I'm like, well, yeah, every broker has attorneys. Like we pay, you know, just like everyone else. And she's like, and I was like, why are you asking? And she's like, well, like she was formerly with EXP. And she's like, well, like my last broker got pulled into like a lawsuit. And like, she's like, I've always been told in this business, it's not if, it's when. And I was like, yeah, I've heard that too. But at the same time, like, you know, my mom's like, why would you be worried about that? I'm like, I'm not worried about it. But here is what you do need to be cognizant of, which is exactly what he was saying. It might be just something like on our Fletcher Hills deal, right? Your buyers could come back and say, my sellers didn't disclose something, and, you know, I was like, I didn't know, you know what I mean? Then they could sue us all.
Right.
Like they could. And that had nothing to do with anything we did wrong. We have everything, you know, in writing or whatever. But then when those things go to court, then they start pulling in all your communication.
And then your seller's like, oh yeah, I did know that. I just forgot to mention it.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there like,
And those things happen, and then your name, and they'll name everyone in a lawsuit just to see what sticks, right? And so that's what was, and so my mom's like, oh wow. I'm like, yeah, Mom, like things happen, and California is a very litigious state. And so it's just something that we have to be really mindful of. And I am, and I'm not ever worried I'll get sued, but it's more often those things where you followed the rules by the book, but then someone in the transaction did something or didn't disclose something because they forgot or they didn't know or they wanted to hide it or whatever. And you're in there because you were representing them, but you didn't know? So I'm really strict with like disclosures, everything this material fact. If you think that it's something we need to say, then we need,
Disclose.
but also
If you have to ask, disclose it.
exactly. But if it's something like, you're saying like, oh, the neighbor's dog, I don't know. It's like, no, okay. No. Like, let's bring it back down. You know what I mean? But like, there's definitely things. And so anyway, that's, you
Yeah.
got to be careful of that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
that's
So,
wild.
Huge learning experience on that one.
Behind the Lockbox is sponsored by Property Showcase Group. Property Showcase Group has a team of creatives, directors, producers, editors, marketing specialists, and designers that work in tandem to tell and share stories of the built environment. Whether you're looking for full-service production or simply just need content creation, Property Showcase Group can help take your business to the next level. To learn more or to contact Property Showcase Group to schedule a consultation, you can find them at propertyshowcasegroup.com. That's spelled PROPERTYSHOWCASEGROUP.com. PropertyShowcaseGroup.com. I'm back to talk about our sponsor and producer, Property Showcase Group. This is for all my agent and affiliate friends out there. Property Showcase Group has a special offer for you. The first 3 agents to email Property Showcase Group at teampsg@propertyshowcasegroup.com will get 1 month free of social media management using code LOCKBOX. That's right, 1 month free. And they're offering 20% off your first video production using code LOCKBOX. For more information, contact Property Showcase Group at teampsg@propertyshowcasegroup.com, and don't forget to use code LOCKBOX or mention this podcast.
Fortunately, I didn't waste too much time. It wasn't like I spent weeks.
It was
like,
just that
actually
day
poking
going
them.
back and forth. Yeah.
Because I've had other ones where it's like I actually spend time looking for a house for them, and I like send them all these stuff, and then you find out after the fact, damn it. Like,
I mean, can you imagine if you actually showed them like 10 or 15 properties
and
then they said all this to you and then they actually weren't really in the market? That would piss me off more than anything.
100%.
Because it's just such a waste of our time. You know what I mean? But in a way of like, people don't really know what we deal with, right? Like they don't know what we go through, which is part of the reason I'm starting this podcast. It was storytelling. It was to tell funny, outlandish things. People would never think that we would get a phone call like that. But then to talk about what the scary parts, the real parts, the commission part, the wasted time, the money we spend, all those things, the consumer doesn't know. We've done such a good job, I said this last week, of hiding and shielding everyone from everything we do to make it look so easy and make us look good.
Exactly.
Now they think we just get paid to turn on a light, open a door, and don't do shit.
And I feel like that's always the thin line to walk, because your goal is to not bring your client problems. It's to bring them solutions. Like,
correct.
If shit pops up, like take care of it and then tell them, hey, so this happened and it's already taken care of. And they're like, wow, this guy's great.
Yep.
But behind the scenes, like all of this stuff is happening.
They have no idea. It's a fine line. Right. It's a fine line to walk of like, I even said this to my attorney client. I was like, when the deal fell out, I was super pissed off. And because we're family and friends, and I was like, look, I normally don't tell my seller everything, but I'm just going to lay it out for you. And he's like, please do. So there's certain clients that you can do that with, and you can say what you're really dealing with on the other side. And there's certain ones that they're like, oh, I have one right now that I don't know if you saw. I posted the text he sent me yesterday.
Yeah.
Because it was so sweet. And it was just, he didn't know it.
That kind of stuff, that's why you do it.
It's why I do it. And it was something I needed to hear in the moment. He'll never know what that did for me, but it really upped my day yesterday. And I was like, it just brings me back to remember what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And so he was like, I can't believe, and even my attorney client was like, you're so scary organized. Like, it's in a good way, but like, you freak me out how like, it's just done before I even ask. And I'm like, because I'm always a step ahead. We have to be, but
That's
again,
part of the job description.
It can bite you in the ass sometimes.
Exactly. Because things happen behind the scenes. Right. And to a certain extent, like, you almost want the client to know,
right?
Because you want them to realize, like, hey,
or when things go wrong, you want to be like, this isn't my fault. Like, this is, but you don't want to play the blame game either.
Right.
I want to take responsibility for it all. But when it's not me, sometimes you do have to be like, it's this, there's nothing I can do. You know what I mean? And it just looks bad.
You want them to know how hard you work, but
you
don't necessarily like want to bring that to them in the moment. Like,
exactly.
Tell them after the fact.
Exactly. It's definitely, it's a fine line. And so I hope that that's part of this show, that it blows the door open of like, here's everything we're actually dealing with. You just have no idea. And like, but I also have realized that like the only times that it kind of bit me in the ass where someone said like, I'm paying you all this money, but they felt like maybe they didn't deserve it or whatever. I don't actually want to work with those clients.
Yep.
Like I want to work with the ones that I'm worth right now that I'm talking to
That
you
are
about
sending
that are
nice
like
texts, like words of affirmation.
wow, I know how hard you're working and I see it. And like, I don't know everything you're doing, but Jesus, like keep it up. You know what I mean? And so like things are just done for them and they're figured out and like I've got solutions and I'm sending them preemptive texts of like, here's an update, no need to respond. Like they know what they get with me. You know what I mean?
I got a
So
text like that from a client the other day, and same thing. I was just in the middle of hanging out with my wife, and I
yeah.
got it, and it just made my day. She was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, my friend's in town from Orange County, and he was telling me about the realtor that he used, and he had such a terrible experience, and the guy did this, this, and this." And she was like, "I just told him how great you were, and was like, I did all this, like he did all this stuff for us, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Thank you." Like,
And everyone's always like, hey, I have another seller of mine that was like, I don't know if it'll go anywhere, but I referred you to the old people across the street. And I was like, that's all I ask.
yeah,
Like
100%.
I want to do a good enough job that you're like, I'm telling everyone about you. Like they're like, oh, you need to use her. She's done 3 deals with me or whatever. Or like we had such a great experience or whatever the case may be. A lot of times people are like, I want someone that lives in the neighborhood. This is up in Oceanside. I obviously live in La Jolla.
Right.
And so sometimes that hinders things, right? But it's like, I hope that like we're doing a good enough job that we just, and I'm putting that out there that continues to happen. So
Yeah, and I feel like at the end of the day, like I think the most important thing when working with, whether you're a consumer working with a realtor, the other way around, is like having people that you vibe with. Like that
huge.
to me is so much more important, because like if you hate the person that you're working with, it doesn't matter how good of a job they do. Like
No.
it
Have you
makes
had
the
those
experience
clients
unenjoyable.
that, I mean, it was the deal we did. Like there was nothing I could do. Right. Like it was never going to be. And it wasn't me. It was a bunch of other things, but I was the forefront. I was the facing one. Like I was taking the hits. And I asked for a review at the end because they had thanked me profusely and sent me really nice messages and were like, we couldn't have got through this without you, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So I asked them to write me a review and they said, sorry, we couldn't do that because we wouldn't be being truthful. And I wrote back and I said, wow, I'm sorry to hear that. I guess the messages you sent weren't true after all. Thank you so much. I couldn't help myself. I was like, I had had enough. It had been 9 months of just being
Oh my
beaten
God.
down.
9 months.
And we haven't talked since. And like, that was it. I mean, I got an email because she had sent something to I guess her daughter's driver's license was sent to the house or something. And so, it sucked, because I don't like things to end that way, but that is the truth. It does happen sometimes. And there was nothing I could have done right. There were things out of my control that they were mad at somebody else. And they said that to me, but they were like, you're looped into this. And so therefore,
So you
sorry.
take it out on
Yeah.
them?
And they flat out said that. And I was just like, okay, but I was going to see that shit through because I'm sick in the head. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Yep.
On that note, you have a story from Marcus that I want you to tell really quickly and then we'll play a game. What?
Okay.
This is insane. I know you don't have a lot of details, so just say what happened because this is freaking wild.
Okay. So, like I said, don't have a lot of detail, but Marcus, my broker, we had a brand new property. Well, it's older property, but new to the market.
Sure.
Hadn't been listed in probably 40 years.
Wow.
And in the wooded area of Point Loma, which is like one of the best areas in Point Loma.
Yes.
And we have it on Caravan. So we go to our pitch meeting.
And for everybody, that's like the broker open that we have every week. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
So Caravan starts, Marcus goes to the house, he's setting everything up, and
is this pre you?
no. This
okay.
is
Okay. So you just weren't there when this happened in the moment.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I actually wasn't on Caravan that day, but he is sitting there for like over an hour and no one's showing up. And he was like, what the hell? Like, okay.
And that's a decently attended caravan. It's not the Reba caravan,
Yeah,
but
and
that's another one
and
that
the
is
property
attended as well.
itself was probably 4 minutes maximum from.
It's like not out somewhere. It's not like
No, yeah, it's
it's not
super
like the
close.
Reba where they're like pitching Del Mar. Like
Right. It
yeah,
should have been probably most people's first stop. Like
got it.
super close.
From leaving the meeting. Yeah.
Exactly. So he's like, what the hell? And finally he gets a text from one of the agents and they're like, hey, so we're trying to get to your open, but the police have the street blocked off. And he's like, what?
And he didn't hear.
No, I
anything.
don't know how he didn't hear
Marcus,
anything.
I need you to come on the episode because I'm going to be asking questions right now that we do not have answers to.
Exactly. But he walks outside and sure enough, like there's 20, 30 squad cars outside. There's crime scene tape all over and he's
And he
blocked
got
in.
to the property, by the way.
None of this had happened.
happened.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
quiet morning in Point Loma.
In the wooded area of all places. Yeah.
God.
So he goes outside. He's literally blocked in and was like, well, okay, I guess I'm gonna hang out here. But long story short, what happened is the lady that lives 2 houses down, apparently, I don't know where this guy came from, but got into an altercation with the homeowner, like an older dude, and like beat this lady up and then stabs her. And then the cops get called. Obviously, the cops show up and they're trying to like, and the dude is still there. Like even after he stabbed her, was just like hanging out. I don't know what he was doing. The cops show up and the guy jumps in his Jeep and swerves and runs over one of the cops. Like
No.
like drives over him. Yeah. And crashes into the mailbox of the property that Marcus is holding open because it's at like the end of a block. It's like one of those cluster mailboxes. Or
Okay,
whatever.
yeah, okay. So
crashes
that's
into
why
that.
he didn't. It wasn't like he ran into the yard. Like
Exactly.
Marcus has no idea.
Yeah, this is like half a block down.
Marcus is sitting inside with his coffee and his donuts. He's
Just
waiting for all the brokers. Got
Yeah.
the music on. He's feeling the vibe. It's like
Yeah.
mid-century modern house. I can visualize all of it. And then he's like goes outside and there's
Just
SWAT
chaos.
teams.
Exactly. Like
Like,
helicopters. Like
Dogs barking like from the canine unit. He's like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
no way.
so that was pretty wild. But yeah, don't have a whole lot of information.
Okay,
on that, but
Marcus gave you permission to tell a story, so we're gonna need him to come on.
Yeah.
You'll come back. You can sit next to me in the hot seat. We'll put him in the hot seat, and
Let's
we'll
do
be
it.
like, "You need to tell this story from start to
in
finish.
detail.
Who was the man? What did you find out from the cops? Is the cop that got ran over okay? I'm sure he is. Like,
He is. I looked that up before coming on. I was
Okay,
like, I wonder how the guy's doing. And I
He's
Googled it, and you're like, yeah, he fully recovered. But yeah,
wow.
yeah, got ran over by a Jeep.
And these are just some of the things we see on Caravan. Just kidding, not really.
Exactly.
Okay, do you want to play a game?
Let's do it.
Okay, the game is called Punch List. So
Okay.
I'm going to hit you with 3 questions, okay?
All right.
Just first things that come to mind, okay? What is the weirdest thing or situation you've ever walked in on?
Weirdest thing I've ever
I mean,
watched.
if you haven't had one yet, thank God.
I feel like the hard part is determining which one to.
You're like, let's see, the naked guy or the dead guy, or did you have a naked guy?
No. no.
Okay.
Well, actually, yes.
Okay.
So have you ever seen the movie Waiting?
No.
It's about. I think it's not Ryan Gosling. Anyways, super famous actor, super young,
Okay.
and it's literally about servers. And one of the things.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Like in the restaurant. It's a
Exactly.
funny movie.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's been a long time since. Yes.
So there's something in that movie called Billy Goating, and if you don't know what it is,
Oh my God,
I
it's
won't
all coming
describe
back
it.
to me.
Yeah, you can look it up. Maybe don't. Weirdest thing I've
Mom, do not
probably
look
walked
it up.
into, and again, this is just picking from a variety of things, was probably someone like in I guess I was in college at the time, and I was working with one of my childhood best friends.
Yeah.
And I worked in a restaurant. I was a line cook, so
No.
it's basically like exactly like the movie.
No.
I walked in, and my best
No.
friends, or one of my best friends, was sitting there.
No.
They're Billy Goating. Yep, in the middle of the restaurant.
You're like, what are you
And I'm like,
doing?
what the fuck? Like, why?
And he was like, what? Do you think it was funny or?
Oh, he was dying. It was yeah.
Oh,
He loved
he
it.
probably saw that movie and was like, I'm gonna do this to everybody.
Exactly.
Well,
I hadn't seen the movie yet
Okay.
at that point, so I didn't know where he got it. I was like, I guess I was creative.
You're like-
I don't know.
you're like, you're a freak. There are people though that have walked in on tenants or like doing things to themselves or like. Luckily it's not.
I don't
me.
doubt that.
I don't want to know and I don't want to see it. I would be traumatized.
I'm sure I could
forever.
think of something weirder, but that was just the first thing.
Oh no,
that popped in my head.
that's pretty good. And a lot of people are like in like anytime I ask these questions, they're like in real life or in business. I'm like, oh, either one,
Yeah.
like either one,
Whatever's more entertaining.
whatever is more entertaining. What is your biggest pet peeve? This can be in life or in business.
I would say either communication or timing. I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna have to go with communication.
I agree.
Even before I was in real estate, like my dad, when I was a kid, was actually a mortgage broker, so he
Oh,
worked in
wow.
real estate.
Yeah.
But it would drive me nuts because he would be meeting with a client or whatever, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm on my way. Like I'm running late,
Right.
but I'm on my way."
Yeah.
And this man wasn't even dressed.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, what? Why don't you just tell him the truth? Just be like, hey, I'm gonna be an extra 30 minutes late. Like I'm sorry. Like
So you're doing everything your dad is not doing.
exactly. So that used to drive me nuts. So now it's like when I'm working with a client and I send them over a contract and we're sitting there texting about the contract.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at DocuSign. No,
Nothing.
no signatures.
They're like, yeah, I'm gonna sign it. And
And I'm
then
like, bro, you're posting to Instagram, you're texting me, like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
sign the document.
that's the biggest running joke in this business is like you send it and then you're just like waiting for them to like sign it in DocuSign. I have the attorney client I told you about, and then I have clients up in Oceanside that I've done multiple deals with in the last couple of years. I've never seen people sign something so fast. And I was like, can I just only work with you for the rest of my life? Like no other clients. Can you guys just keep buying and selling? Because like they don't even now they just know everything back to back. They're just like sign. So, like it's just it comes in so
Easy.
It's insane. Yeah, it's insane. If you could be anything other than a real estate agent, what would you be and why?
It's a good question. Someone actually asked me this the other day, and I was like, if I didn't do real estate, I don't know what the hell I do in life.
Interesting.
I don't know. I'd love to be like a travel or like a food blog person.
Ugh,
My wife and I are huge foodies.
I
Like we
love
base
that.
pretty much all of our vacations
I
off
feel
of
like I
like
saw that when you
where,
guys went to Paris
yeah,
for your honeymoon. Yeah.
Paris, Japan, like
Yeah.
our vacations are always like, okay, what countries have the most Michelin starred restaurants? Where has the best food? Next one is Amsterdam. They're supposed to have some killer restaurants.
They do. I've been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she has too. She was like, it's phenomenal. Let's
Just the city itself. My graphic designer is going this Saturday and she'll be gone for like 11 days. She's going to Amsterdam and I'm like, oh my God, okay, here's where you need to go. Like, I don't know if they're like as big into that, but like,
That's how it
I
is.
loved it. You know what I
Anytime
mean?
anyone's
Yeah.
like, oh, we're
Yeah.
going to Japan, I'm
Yeah.
like, I have a list of places to
That's
go.
amazing. My brother and sister-in-law wanted to go to Japan, but it wasn't really open still. And then, yeah. And so then they ended up going, didn't, and they canceled that trip and they went to France instead. And then this last
Good
year,
second option.
it was good. It was good. And then we went to Turks and Caicos for my 40th last year. And then this
Awesome.
year they went to Costa Rica. So they're also trying to make it to Japan. I would love to go.
It is
sounds
honestly one
phenomenal.
of my favorite countries on the
That's what
planet.
I've
It is
heard.
insanely clean.
It wasn't
People
in
are
my top
respectful.
10,
Like,
but like I've heard it needs to be.
so you know what's funny is we actually went for my honeymoon. We were there for a month, but we sat down and we were like, okay, like where have you been? Where have I been?
Right.
Let's go somewhere that neither of us have been,
Agreed.
but want to go.
For sure.
And Japan was like the one major overlap where we were both like, this is in our top 5. Like it's not our number 1.
Right.
But both of us had it on the list and neither of us had been.
And are you so glad?
Oh my God. Yes.
Amazing.
Absolutely. One of my favorite
Okay.
countries. Like
Okay.
the-
Yeah, my brother and sister-in-law are like, no, like we need to go.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
okay.
just like the little thing. I was walking down the street and I watched a guy, like a city employee, like vacuuming the street and like power washing it brick by brick. Like
I've heard.
insanely clean,
Yeah.
insanely respectful.
I've
like,
also heard just like the way that and I don't know if this is true, maybe you can attest to this, that like little kids that are like 4 and 5, like ride the bus and they go to school and they're like by themselves because
safe to sell.
it is the culture to take care of the little ones. It doesn't matter whose kid that is or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it is that you take care. You know what I mean? Which never happened here.
So one of the crazy things, and I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, like depending on how you look at it, but one of the things I thought was super weird, but like interesting was we were at the train station and there was like a little box and it had a bunch of Japanese characters in it. So I like Google translated it like on the platform, like, what is this? And there was a specific car that between specific hours, like going to work and going from work was for women only. And I was like, that seems kind of messed up. Like, why would they do
love
that?
it.
But come to find out, like I'm talking to ChatGPT and they're like, no, it's so women can ride the train and feel safe.
And or breastfeed or do whatever they need to do.
And I was like, wow, like that's such a simple thing, but like little nuances of
I mean, I knew
culture are, like,
before you even said I knew why, but it's a safe place. So I thought that's interesting if but when you're riding there's always going to be bad somewhere, right? Like there's gangs or whatever everywhere. So like, that's amazing. I mean, I've had a lot of guys sit in this chair and, we've talked about women's safety and stuff and they're like, wow, I've just like never thought about it. And I'm like, because you don't have to.
Yeah.
You would never think that you would need to be on a subway car or feel safe. Like it's just you.
It's something my wife and I talk about a lot.
Yeah. Good.
Because I mean, I think one of the first times that it brought it up was her and I were walking down the street and there was a van that was like slowly pulling up behind us. And this is like a block from our house. We're walking our dogs and she's sitting there just like looking over her shoulder. And she was like, doesn't that make you nervous? Like someone pulling up behind you in the van? And I was like, no, I hope somebody hops out that fucking thing. I was like,
but it's something that we always,
exactly.
we're clocking stuff constantly. Like I'm always aware of my surroundings. The second I get in my car, I lock my door.
Yeah.
Someone actually tried to get in my car while I was sitting in my car, which was terrifying in the middle of nowhere. And
It's terrifying.
it was. And like, it actually truly scarred me and traumatized me. And it took a little while to get over because it was the way. I won't go into the story now. I've talked about it before. I'll tell you later. But like, I got the hell out of there, but like I made myself like known, like I screamed and like hit the window and was like, get the out of here. And I like,
Absolutely.
I reversed out of there so quickly, but like, there's just things like that happen that like, you just have to be. And also I'm 5'10" and I kind of have a resting bitch face. So like, I don't really get messed with a lot, but like, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? People, if you're distracted or whatever. So I'm just at a gas station. Anywhere that I am alone in public, I'm walking to my car. I'm always looking behind me. When I walk my dog, like sometimes I'm in my phone, but like I'm listening. I don't have headphones in. Like I am just very vigilant always. And I'm not afraid.
We live in a place that is so necessary.
It's just the world we live in. And I'm not afraid. It's just, I'm aware. So don't come over here, Yeah.
Respect it.
Anyway, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We need to have you and Marcus back on. I'm going to need a lot more details of that story. So anyway, yes.
And next time I'll tell you another story. You said something that popped into my head during this. So
wait, how much time do we have? Let me see. Okay, yeah, no. Next time for sure. Okay, perfect. All right, guys, please don't forget, follow us on Instagram, and you can download the show on Apple and Spotify. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Behind the Lockbox is produced and edited by Property Showcase Group. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, or review this podcast. Thanks for your support. See you next week.